Hey, what's up guys? Today, I'll show you a zombie horror film, Demons, Part 1. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The movie begins with a university student named Cheryl, who is on her way to class on a local train. Suddenly, she notices a masked man staring at her in the window of the train, but his image vanishes when she looks again. Cheryl decides to ignore this man and gets off the train when she reaches her stop. However, she hears some footsteps behind her and gets worried because there is no one nearby to help her. She keeps looking back to see who's following her and finally notices the masked man coming toward her. Panicked and distressed, Cheryl tries to run away from the masked man and evades him by going up an escalator. However, the masked man magically appears in front of Cheryl, but instead of attacking her, he gives her a ticket to a movie show at the Metropole Theater. Cheryl is relieved that the masked man is not a killer, so she walks up to him and asks for another ticket so that her friend, Timid, can also join her for the show. After getting the extra ticket, Cheryl asks the masked man if his mask is a part of the promotion for the movie, but he says nothing and walks away from her. Cheryl walks out of the station and is united with Timid, whom she informs about the movie show. Timid is worried that they will miss a class at the university if they go to the theater, but Cheryl manages to convince her to come along for the movie. Night sets in as the girls visit the theater, and Timid mentions that she would rather watch a Daniel CC movie from YouTube than see a horror movie at the theater. Regardless, Cheryl brings her inside, and then we see all the different people who have come to see this movie. This includes an old man and his wife who have a bit of an argument before they enter the cinema hall. A handsome boy named George and his thin friend named Skinny notice Cheryl and Timid struggling to get some soda from the vending machine. Sensing an opportunity to impress the girls, George and Skinny help them get the soda. George tries to flirt with Cheryl, but Timid smells his bad hormones, so she takes Cheryl away with her. A blind man, together with his daughter, is also here to watch the movie, possibly using his blind eyes. But then, the blind man senses danger when he touches a demonic silver mask. He warns his daughter against touching this mask, but a sassy woman named Sass goes ahead and wears the mask. Sass tries to act cool in front of her friend Babe and her pimp who is named Dawn. Sass eventually takes off the mask, but gets a cut on her greasy cheek and it alerts the theater's stewardess. It's time for the show to begin and everyone gets seated. George and Skinny notice some vacant seats next to Cheryl and Timid, so they sit down next to them. The movie begins by showing a group of friends who are inspecting the ancient tombs of the famed astrologer Nostradamus. The group talks about the many prophecies of Nostradamus, which also seem to include a warning that demons will inhabit the earth as instruments of evil. Sensing that this is a horror movie, Timid gets scared. George offers his support to Cheryl, but he is told to shut up by the old man. As the movie carries on, the blind man asks his daughter to describe what's happening, and she tells him that the group is now exploring the tombs in a broken-down building. Don and his girls start smoking in the hall, so the stewardess reminds them that they are not allowed to do so. But they simply laugh it off and continue to smoke. Now, a blonde girl named Blondie and her boyfriend begin to enjoy their intimacy. The blind man's daughter also abandons her father so that she can hide and seek her hormones with her bald lover. Back to the movie, the group discovers a tomb with Nostradamus written on it, so their leader tries to pry it open. There's a jump scare that alarms George, so he accidentally touches Cheryl. She doesn't mind getting romantic with him, but Timid is still scared, so Skinny sits next to her, comforting her with his skinny muscles. The movie's characters also discover a demonic mask, which looks very similar to the one that Sass was wearing earlier. They also find an ancient book and read it to learn more about the mask. It turns out the mask is cursed, and whoever wears it will turn into a demon. Dawn sees this as an opportunity to make fun of Sass, but her mask wound starts bleeding again, exactly the same way as one of the characters in the movie after he puts on the mask. Sass begins to worry about her wound, so she goes to the washroom to inspect it. As expected, the wound begins to grow, and Sass panics out of fear. Suddenly, the wound explodes, and Sass drops to the ground. The movie gets even scarier, so the old man's wife asks to leave the hall, but the old man simply tells her to shut up her annoying mouth. Dawn and Babe are a bit suspicious as to why Sass hasn't returned, so Babe goes to check up on Sass in the washroom. Babe can't find her anywhere at first, but then she opens one of the toilet booths and spots Sass. She calls out to Sass, but Sass has transformed into a demon now, and she viciously attacks Babe. The demon manages to slash Babe's throat, but Babe manages to run away from the washroom and starts crying for help. Meanwhile, all the characters in the movie are getting killed off in the most brutal fashion. These scary sights make Cheryl cozy up to George as she holds his arm. The blind man realizes that his daughter has left him alone, so he desperately calls out to her. Unfortunately, the daughter is too busy sharing her hairy body with her bald lover, so she ignores the blind man. Now, Babe's wound also starts to grow, and she finds herself behind the movie screen. Desperate and confused, Babe starts pushing against the screen while a character is getting killed in the movie. Timid notices something odd with the screen and says that someone is behind it, but Skinny tells her it's just the Dolby sound system. Babe's wound also starts to explode, so she tears her way out of the screen and everyone panics upon seeing her. Meanwhile, Demon Sass finds the blind man's hairy daughter and her bald lover, and she kills them both by using the same rope. Dawn rushes to Babe to check up on her, but just like the characters in the movie, Babe also transforms into a demon in front of everyone. This leads to all the audience members panicking and running away. In the middle of this chaos, the bald lover is also hanged off the ceiling. Dawn orders the crowd to get out of the hall as soon as possible, but it's too late for the old man, who gets his throat ripped off by Demon Babe. The blind man finds his daughter's dead body, possibly using his blind eye, and he becomes emotional. But he is suddenly attacked by Demon Sass, who rips his blind eyes out without any mercy. The audience rushes toward the exit doors and tries to get out of the theater, but they've been locked inside, as there's a wall that has magically appeared to block their escape. Things begin to get out of control. Dawn suggests using the fire escape, but a woman wanders away from the crowd and is soon killed by Demon Sass. George and Skinny notice the demon, so they try to lock her inside a room, but she is too strong for them. Luckily, Dawn and another man arrive and use a vending machine to push against the door and lock the demon inside for good. However, there are no other exit doors in the theater, so everyone is out of options. Timid points out that the movie could be the cause of everything, and Dawn agrees with her. He asks the stewardess to point them toward the projection room so that they can stop this madness. The stewardess leads the team to the projection room, while Blondie crawls around the hall, hoping to avoid the demons. Dawn breaks down the door and enters the projection room, but there's no one there, and the movie is being played automatically. With no other option, Dawn makes everyone smash everything inside the room, but Cheryl notices the masked man on the screen once more. The movie seemingly comes to an end, and then we see a group of bullies driving around the city. Back to the theater, Dawn and the others hope that the danger is over, but they find the blind man, who says it's the theater that's actually haunted. The blind man cries over his dead daughter, but Dawn wants to throw her body away before she turns into a demon. However, another demon shows up to attack Dawn, so he pulls out his knife to stab the demon. The demon falls onto Blondie and savagely attacks her before she's able to escape. Dawn gives George his knife and prepares him for combat, but then Dawn gets attacked by a whole bunch of demons. Panic ensues once again as everyone tries to make it out of the hall. Blondie is united with her boyfriend, who seems to ignore her injuries. Back at the theater, everyone starts barricading the doors with the theater's chairs in order to keep the demons away. As the crowd keeps pounding at the walls of the cinema hall, Timid can hear some more demons, but Skinny tells her that it's nothing. Blondie and her boyfriend try to make it out of the theater, but they keep running into demons, so they decide to use the vents. The crowd breaks down a wall and finds a secret entrance. However, there doesn't seem to be a way out, as there are only walls everywhere. The girls start to panic, so the boys try to calm them down. Meanwhile, some cops find the bullies and want to investigate them, but the bullies push them away and run into a blind alley. There doesn't seem to be any escape, but the bullies find an open door that leads into the cursed theater. The door magically shuts after the bullies go through it, so the cops aren't able to find them. Instead, they see the blind man, who has now become a demon, but he's still blind. He attacks the cops, so they shoot his hand off. Blondie and her boyfriend crawl through the vents, but the boyfriend hears a demon following them. Blondie tells him to ignore the sounds and keep going. The boyfriend makes Blondie go in front of him, but it turns out the sounds he was hearing were actually coming from Blondie, who turns into a demon and attacks him. The bullies try to figure a way out of the theater, but the girl bully checks herself in the mirror. She is immediately attacked by a demon, and the bullies go to help her. However, they find the other demons and run away. Suddenly, the crowd hears some noise, and they think that help has come their way, so they tear down the barricades. This turns out to be a very bad idea, as the demon army breaks through and attacks everyone. Even the stewardess is slashed and killed, as the demon army spills blood everywhere. Cheryl and her friends try to make their way through the chaos, and eventually get out. However, they notice that Timid has been seriously injured. The group finds a vent and wants to escape through it, but Timid begins her transformation and forgets who Cheryl is. She turns into a demon and attacks the group, so Skinny takes her down with a chair. However, a baby demon wakes up from inside Timid's body. It gets out and slashes Skinny before running away. Realizing that he will also turn into a demon, but a skinny one, Skinny asks the others to stay away from him and tries to leave them. George and Cheryl don't want to abandon him, but he says he's too far gone to be saved. Before bidding farewell, Skinny asks George to kill him with a sword that he finds on a statue. George doesn't want to do it, but Skinny pleads with him to do this one last favor for him. Skinny transforms into a skinny demon, so George reluctantly chops his head off. Then, he finds a motorbike. George uses the motorbike to rescue Cheryl, and then he slashes through the demons that try to attack them. George does whatever he can to fight the demons, and kills a lot of them, but he also gets injured in the process. Eventually, Cheryl falls off the bike, and so does George, but he manages to kill all the demons surrounding them in an action-packed sequence. With most of the demons gone, George and Cheryl think about their humanity rather than humanity, but they hear a strange sound. Suddenly, a helicopter crashes through the ceiling, and Cheryl hears more demons closing in on them. George tries to turn on the chopper, and he eventually gets the blades running to slash through the incoming demons. Now George uses a rope gun to pull himself and Cheryl up to the roof of the theater. A demon latches onto Cheryl, but she and George make it safely to the top. Unfortunately, the masked man shows up from behind and attacks George. The masked man is about to throw George down into the theater, but Cheryl manages to smack him from behind. The two come together to kill the masked man, but the danger isn't over as they spot more demons coming towards them. They finally make it out of the theater, but they notice chaos everywhere as the town is overrun by demons. They struggle to fend off so many demons, but they luckily run into a survivor family in a jeep. The family helps George and Cheryl escape with them by shooting down the demons. Then the family explains that there is an apocalypse, so they're trying to get out of the country and start a new life. Suddenly, Cheryl realizes that she has an infected wound, and she turns into a demon as well. The movie ends with Demon Cheryl being shot down, and her corpse falls onto the road as the others escape. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.